Okay, so topic 4.5, we are going to be talking about in this topic feedback and feedback loops. This is a word you should remember. Most people remember this word from normal biology. Homeostasis. What does that mean? Um, this is the act of maintaining balance within a cell and outside a cell, maintaining a balance. So I'm going to talk about kind of the most common example of this of a feedback loop, which is our endocrine system and the regulation of blood sugar specifically. So we have a certain blood sugar level that we are attempting to maintain in our body. In the 90 milligrams per 100 milliliters is kind of a common, blood sugar level that you need to kind of maintain something around that. You don't want it to get too high. So if it does get too high, your body has a series of signals that get sent. Your pancreas is going to produce something called insulin, which I'm sure you've heard of. They come from your beta cells in your pancreas. These are going to cause your body cells to take up sugar from your blood. So your bloodstream has all these sugars in there. I'll draw these. I'll just draw them as circles here. But it essentially tells your body cells, right, the cells that might be surrounding these vessels, hey, we got to take this blood sugar out. We got to remove some blood sugar from this system, right? Um, Now, what's going to happen? It's going to be stored in your liver as glycogen. Let me erase this, sorry. Okay. In those long chains, you remember a long time ago we talked about glycogen, which is a long storage molecule of glucose, a long branched polysaccharide over here. It's going to tell your body to, hey, let's store this glucose as glycogen. Let's start storing these individual glucose molecules, which are good for energy, but you don't want to have too much of them, or too many of them, rather. It's also going to act to reduce your appetite, so you're not taking in excess sugar. If your blood sugar level gets low, in your pancreas as well, your alpha cells are going to secrete something called glucagon, which is another signaling molecule, or as you might know it, ligand. There's a ligand down here too. Glucagon and insulin kind of operate hand in hand. So if your blood sugar gets too low, it's going to tell your liver, instead of storing that glucose, it's going to tell your liver, hey, we got all this glycogen. Let's break it down. Let's cleave this glycogen and get these individual glucose molecules into the bloodstream, so we can raise this blood sugar back to what it should be at. In addition to that, also going to trigger your hunger, make you hungry so that hey, I need sugar. I've got to take in some sugar right now. My blood sugar is low. You guys probably felt this before. But this is kind of a simple negative feedback loop. This is a good example of a negative feedback loop. So negative feedback loop is any loop in which you are trying to kind of maintain some sort of level in your system, be it blood sugar, heat, um, even hunger is a negative feedback loop in and of itself. Um, so you have one ligand that operates on one side of this loop in case it gets out of control in one direction, and you have a different ligand typically that will operate in another direction to try and regulate this level in an opposite manner. This is a negative feedback loop. An example of a positive feedback loop, or example I like to think of, is platelets. You guys have cut yourself before, I'm sure, and you'll know that you've probably heard the term platelets before, right? Clotting factors that are in your blood. When you get cut, they rush to the site and kind of try to clog up that wound. In addition to that, they send out these cellular messengers right here to nearby platelets. Those platelets pick up on that, and then they come rushing in as well. Then those platelets send out even more signals, causing more platelets to join. So this is when, instead of trying to maintain a certain level in a positive feedback loop, You need some sort of response that is fast, right? You need a quick response that's going to build upon itself. So you'll have something that instead of triggering some sort of homeostasis, it's kind of trying to exponentially trigger stuff over and over. I think of it as, if we were playing 3-on-3 basketball, right? And every time I scored, I got to add a player, 4-on-3. Then we score even faster the next round. I get to add another player. You can see how this would get out of hand really quickly, right? Um, so this is kind of the response that kind of builds upon itself. That is a positive feedback loop. In stark contrast to a negative feedback loop, which is trying to maintain a positive feedback loop in a sense, it's trying to get out of control as quickly as possible so that it can, in this case, stop you from bleeding out, right? So that's it for feedback loops. Join me for the next video.